What's wrong with my feet is I have this very rare
No, I mean talk to Chanel, it's fine. Like,
condition where
I don't know if this is going to hurt you, by the way, because I've never cut someone else's hair, but... Oh, that's calm.
I know my mom wouldn't like it.
my mom never seen a bald, but she saw me from long hair to short hair. And she told me I'll always regret it.
You need to leave your head a bit more forward. You need to sit back up a little bit.
And my husband used to cut my hair. I used to cut, when the boys were small, I used to cut the boys' hair.
Oh yeah, she used to cut my hair all the time.
I think you're afraid to cut right down.
Me.
Oh
With
yeah.
him. Because when I cut, I just...
No, I'm not afraid, but I'm just trying to get every hair. I'm cutting it right now.
It's right now.
It's right now.
Yeah.
I never had anybody cut my hair for a long time. I used to go to the barber every 2 weeks. And I realized, oh, that's costing me too much. I just want to shave out.
You'd have locks probably like...
You know what it looked like? It looked like...
What's Zoe Kravitz's mum's name again?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I knew you were talking about...
Yeah, but it looked like hers because she's mixed race and she's got long hair. She's got long locks as well. It just looked like that. You don't know till you try. Because towel's covering it. Lift your shirt forward.
Look.
Good.
I'm all even.
Let me see.
Let's look at a BDI.
Yes, even.
Oh, she's
Let me just wipe your face.
How does that look?
Good. Looks like you again.
How does that look?
Really good.
What is it, a butterfly in
It's got a soup stain.
soup stain on my clothes, my God. That should be, oh my God, that should be having no soup stain on. You can't leave the camera for me to put change it up.
Yeah, I can pause it. So.
But it's terrible. And all that there soup stain on the camera.
Huh?
Have some things in place for me. So they went to got everything ready for when I get home safely.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. You haven't seen all this stuff?
No. It's literally just from back here upwards. Okay. So.
Oh.
It's fine.
Everything's fine, right?
Yeah. Okay. So. Who are you?
I'm your mom.
Nah, just say your name.
Gail Noel.
No, I mean like, who are you? Like,
Kind of like an interview question.
Yeah, this
Who
is
are
like
you? Okay,
yeah.
my name is Gail, and then you continue.
My name is Gail. I was a nurse. I started nursing when I was 18 years old.
So when did you come to like England?
Ooh. 1974.
What brought you here?
To do nursing in Sussex.
Sussex?
St. Francis Hospital in Sussex.
How long were you studying for?
Well, I did a 3-year course as a psychiatric nurse. So I trained as a psychiatric nurse before I came to London to train as a general nurse.
How old was you when you did that?
I was 18.
How old are you now?
I'm 60.
Trying to remember.
3.
60? Cool. So like, when you came here, like, what were you hoping to gain from being in London?
Initially, I wanted to come to England, study and travel, use my career to study. But then, when I was about to do my midwifery, my then boyfriend asked me to get married.
Who was that?
Huey.
Was that your first husband?
Yeah.
So, did you go out to Trinidad and get married then?
Yes, he did not live in England, so we went back to Trinidad, got married. I finished my midwifery. We got married and we had 3 children.
What are their names?
Akil, Kareem, and Nikki.
And how long were you married to Huey for?
For 8 years.
8 years.
Bought a house and had the children.
Were you guys together in Trinidad then?
Yes.
Okay. So like, what was like some of the memories you have of when you were married?
In Trinidad.
Yeah.
Well, Trinidad was nice. Lots of taking the kids to the beach. Had friends sometimes. It was amazing. Pick the kids up from school and go to the beach. Where we lived had little beaches, Vancouver. And my parents loved the beach. So if I'm working and the kids are staying with my mom and dad, they would always go to the beach, go out. You know, my parents loved going out, so they went out a lot, and it was nice, warm, no snow.
So you said that you're from Trinidad, right?
Yes, I'm from Trinidad originally.
Okay, cool. So you were talking about your parents. What was your relationship like with your mum and your dad?
Oh, wonderful. I love my parents. We had a good relationship. They loved my children. And it was great. My mom got sick just about just before I decided to return to England. But she got sick with colon cancer and had to go to the States, where my family lived, to have treatment.
So are you the only child?
No, I have 3 brothers.
And what was your relationship like with them when you was growing up? Did they contribute to who you are today?
Yes, when I was growing up, I had a good relationship with all my brothers. My eldest brother was somebody we kind of looked up to as children because he was the eldest. He was very smart. Then I had Jerry, who was just after a year younger than I was. And we got on all right, yeah. And then my last brother, Ronnie, who was like the baby, who I kind of took under my wing, and when I was doing all my cookery classes, I didn't, well, it was cookery and needlework then, what they call it, home economics or whatever. I would do all my cooking and he would be the taster. He would be in the kitchen watching me and tasting everything I made. So he's my youngest brother. And yeah, I think I was alright with my brothers growing up. So I think I had a fairly good childhood, actually. That's my opinion. People always look back and think, what went wrong? I mean, whatever my parents didn't do, I don't see it as a problem. I think they did their best, and I think they did a really good job.
So going back to your parents, what was your relationship like with your mum?
It was okay, it was good. I was the only girl. When I was growing up, my mom used to dress me like her. And I look back now, there's an age where I thought, I don't like this anymore. If she had blue trousers, I had on blue trousers. She had on red tops, I had on red tops. But she a certain age, we had like twins. And she bought a mini version for me and a version for her. It didn't bother me. I just thought it was a bit strange. But yeah, my mom, and then when I came when I was 18, I left home, so I was supposed to her, that was like cutting off, I look back now, it was like cutting off her arm. Seeing me go to England, drive away in British Airways. Those days it was BOAC, British Overseas Airways Corporation or some airline corporation. And going away on a plane to England was like you're going away never to come back. Some people went by ship, couldn't afford boats. Plane, sorry. But my mom knew since I was about 8 or 9, I always said I want to go to England to study nursing.
Do you have any memories with your mom?
My mom and I used to sew together. I remember my mom taught me to sew very young. I made my first dress when I can remember making my first dress to go to a wedding at the age of about 11, 12. And it was blue and had like a strap across. I have a picture of it with me with them at a wedding. I made that dress and I remember we did a wedding with it. And it made me she almost gave me love for sewing and cooking. So I always liked cooking and sewing. So I remember sewing my children clothes for school and things like that. If anything as a whole or something, I wouldn't think of Trinidad. I'd always think of, repairing it. Or even making something, seeing something, and maybe Shaquille, maybe, I don't know if he got that sort of skill, but if I saw something, I would see beyond what it is. I would buy something and think, well, that's nice, but I can change it. I could change the buttons, or I could change something in it to make it unique. I like unique things, different things. But my mom and I, when I was, came back, I think I was coming to England, I made a skirt, and we bought the material together and we made this flowered skirt. It was like in a sort of like a different layers. Even when my mom passed, I remember always wearing this skirt because it was a skirt we made together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once I was moving house and I was giving, you giving things to charity and you recycling things. I think I recycled that skirt. So I always look back and think, I mean, I maybe look at the skirt now and romanticize what skirt, that skirt looked wonderful. I've had it now. When I look back now, maybe if I had the skirt now, it would not look so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not sorry that I didn't keep the skirt. But that's my memory. My mom and I sewed together. We did things together. We liked cooking together. She liked cooking. And she liked cooking for my family and my kids and things like that.
And what was your relationship like with your dad?
My God, my dad was the only girl, I was the apple of his eye. I was the only girl, so I was like, every one of my dolls were called Wendy. I don't know if he had a girlfriend called Wendy, but he liked the word name Wendy. I had a walking doll, a talking doll, and a doll that I can't even play with, to give you dolls and say, let it stand there. I can walk, I can talk. But Dad was great. He wasn't a perfect person, but who is? And but we had a relationship where we had a kind of there's a point in our life where, as a teenager, it's either goes south or it goes north. Unfortunately, it went north, which is good. And we remained this kind of relationship where we can talk. If I did something and I asked him his opinion, I remember he's the one who taught me, what is your gut feeling? First person I ever asked in my life. I always remember that. I was like, my God, no heaven. He said, what is your gut feeling? What do you think is going to happen? And I remember the first time he ever asked me that, I was like, oh my God, I never even thought about my gut feeling. And now I go back to my gut feeling sometimes.
And you tell me a lot to do that.
And I tell Shaquille to do that. I say, what's your gut feeling? What do you feel inside? And half the time you have the answers inside. You just ignore it. And if you use your gut feeling to make your decisions, whatever happens, you accept it. I've made big decisions, and it's like sliding doors. You come out the door, do you turn left, do you turn right? Turn left, something can happen that changes your whole life. You could turn left and a car hits you, you lost your 2 legs, your whole life changes. You could turn right, and you walk straight home, nothing happens. But when you come out that train or whatever, do you know where left or right? You don't know what the future will hold. So you just have to make a decision. And then whatever happens, you deal with it.
So would you say he was a good teacher in your life then?
I think he was, yeah. I think he was. I had to learn not to take away everything he taught me. Like most children have to not take away everything their parents teach them.
Oh, I know that.
Not everything, but they try their best. Because it's their own experience they're going by. Some other people's. But sometimes people who live a bit longer might have experience that younger people don't have. And you may not see where they're coming from. And they may die. My mom and dad have died. And I've said things or experiencing, I thought, oh, I know what they was trying to say now. I can see why they said that. It may not have been what I wanted for myself, but I can see what they meant. Because all they want is the best for you, basically parents that love you. All they want is the best. And sometimes they get over careful, which is not sometimes very good, because they'll say just be careful. But if you're too careful, you don't take risks. And you have to take risks to carry on in life. But they're afraid of the risk for you, because they don't want anything to happen to you. Because I used to tell Shaquille, when he wanted to do art, I saw him like standing on, London Bridge selling a painting saying, buy this for 5p, buy this for 50p. I was like, oh my God, I didn't see it as a career. I can't see using your art for anything. I couldn't see how broad and wide it was, but I'm glad I encouraged him, and very proud now. But you know, whatever you do is you have to just do your best, and that's what I want for all of them. Really.
So skipping a couple of years forward, you moved to England and stuff.
Came back to England.
Came back to England, sorry.
Yeah.
You said you had 3 kids. You said you were married for 8 years.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you divorced
Hugh. Yes.
So after you divorced him, where did that leave you?
Well, I decided that I'm going to come back to England with the children. I only went back to Trinidad because he wanted to live in Trinidad, and came back to England with the children. Nikki was almost 2, I think, and came back and started to build myself up again. Got a job at Lewisham Hospital in London, and stayed with my aunt for a few weeks, and started renting somewhere to live and getting a flat, and became a staff nurse. Then I started studying again. I went to South Bank University to study to become a district nurse. So I did a district nurse course 2 years after I came back, for a year full time. Became a district nursing sister in the community.
In terms of like, you coming back, 3 children, having a job, single mom, living in London, that must have been very difficult for you, right?
It was challenging.
Are there like any particular moments that you remember?
Well, I was the only person working, and children were very young, so I had to look for childcare for Nikki and for the boys. The boys were, Akil was 8, Kai was 5, Nikki was 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get childcare for 3 of them.
Yeah.
So that took up like most of my money.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay rent.
Yeah.
And I bought a car not long after I came back. But there was a time I was living in Acton and working in Lewisham.
Mm.
And that was tough, coming to work in the mornings and going back in the evenings with the children. And I was on the bus and I saw this car in this car dealers.
What car was it?
It was a Ford Escort.
Okay.
But it reminded me of my car in Trinidad.
Mm.
I jumped off the next bus stop and ran back to the dealer and told him to keep the car for me. And I paid him £20, that's all I had. And I asked a friend to go and have a look at the car. He said, the car is okay, but it's too much. I said, that car is the car I want. And I kept the car. It had a leak. Every time rain fell, the footwell was very wet. But I coped. But it took my children out. I was able to drive. And I remember keep that car saw me through all the days until I finished training at University South Bank. My car. And then one day, my car in front of the family doctor surgery where I worked,
Mm-hmm.
it just stopped working. It served its purpose, and I'm no regret I bought it.
Okay.
But that was using my gut feeling. I was in the bus and I thought, that's the car for me.
I guess you've gone through your trials and tribulations, I guess. I remember hearing some stories as well when you guys were, when I wasn't around yet, and times when you guys would have to buy like £1 chips and share it between you lot.
Yeah, well, they all saw everything as my children. I never let them see it as a problem. They saw it as an adventure. They didn't see all the trials and challenges I had as a parent. They saw it as wherever we lived was like an adventure. So I would buy chips, we'd sit on the ground or whatever, we'd catch up and have drinks, and they would see it like a picnic. If I didn't have enough money to buy proper food and things like that. So it was all like catch up and let's catch some chips, yay! And some Coke, yay! Yeah. So it was all like
You protected your kids?
I did. Friends who know how much of a challenge it was for the first 3 years, they would remember it, but not the way my kids would remember it. They would remember it as, yeah, we moved from here, yeah, we moved from there, yeah, we moved from that school. But they didn't understand the charges behind why you had to move to school, why I had to move from where I lived to where I lived. They never saw, I made sure they never saw us on the street.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and things like that.
So, I guess now, so 3 kids, struggling but still persevering, pursuing a great career, being a great mom. You know, I guess what happened with you next? Did you meet anyone else in your life, or?
Well, I had this friend in Trinidad, best friend. We weren't romantically involved, but I knew for a long time. He was a friend of mine, and he's always liked me, and was determined to sort of make me his wife one day, I suppose. And he followed me to England. And I would say he was almost like my best friend when I was in Trinidad. When I was thinking of coming back and making a new life, he encouraged me, supported me through it. And he came to England and we got married. And we had Shaquille.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
But the marriage didn't work.
Why didn't the marriage work?
He had issues and he was very possessive, and he was very violent with his possessiveness. So the marriage couldn't work.
Speak, say that again.
So the marriage couldn't work. You know, his violence and his possessiveness was just, what should I say, escalated as the years went by. So after a couple of years, I decided to have, for us to have a time apart to see if he can go and get some support and help to sort out his issues, but it didn't work. So our marriage finished.
Because at this point you would have had 4 kids now.
Yeah.
How do you think it molded you as a woman? What would you say to women out there that are going through something, that would probably go through something similar like that?
Well, my priority was from the day I had my kids. I just remember that. From the day I had my kids, from the day I had my first child. When Shaquille was born, my eldest was 15, over 15. Going on to 16. So they were not young children. I was always determined that priority would be the children. And I felt anything, including their father, that would not make them be better people was not going to be my priority. My priority was going to be the children.
But what would you say to women who are going through, I guess, abusive relationships and they feel like they don't have a voice, but they don't feel like they don't know how to overcome something like that?
I think things are better now. The time it happened, I went to the police made me a cup of tea and said, oh, you know what men are like.
That's really bad.
Yeah, that's really bad. I remember going to Catford Police when I was pregnant and see he just hit me. And the police said, oh, it's probably hormonal. I'm all, what should I say, you know, I'm all hormonal and making a big thing out of nothing. And they made me a cup of tea. I remember being in the Catford Police Station the night Diana died. Because I was in the police station when the news came through. So it was like 2, 3 in the morning. They made me a cup of tea and let me go back home. Told me to go back home.
But what advice would you give to women now? Like, how would you empower women today that you would say suffer at the hands of abuse?
I would tell a woman that it's very difficult because it's very subtle. It comes up in a very subtle way. It doesn't just happen. It's very subtle. It starts with little things, maybe a little push, a little shove, a little pinch, a little. That's very subtle, and most of them get into your head, telling you, making you feel it's you. If you didn't behave in a certain way, that won't happen. If you didn't behave in a certain way, that won't happen.
Yeah.
But I would say, if you have children, protect your children. If it's just you, get out of it. If you have the children, it's not simple. It's not easy, because anytime a marriage breaks up or a relationship breaks up, financially you're going to be worse off. You'll always be worse off financially. Unless you were the person with the money and he had nothing. But it will be hard because you have to be on your own. You're going to be judged. You're going to be, unfortunately, people do judge you. I'd say to get out of it. And whatever it takes to get out of it, if you have to get support, because there's lots of support out there that will help you. You call the police and you take chance, because I did do that. I always used it. Even though I'm married, I did use the court and the police. And he was found guilty of assault in the marriage. So I would say, so he was left with that. I would say, don't feel sorry for the person. Don't let the person manipulate you back into the relationship, which is very easy to happen. They can manipulate you back into a relationship. They can make you feel sorry for them and get back into your head and make you feel that it's your fault and it's going to change. It doesn't change. You know, I'm not saying people don't change if they make the effort, but it's not an easy effort because it's something that may take years and may never ever be the kind of person they think they could be. But it's a continuing thing, a cycle that they have to always be aware of. It's like being an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever. You have to always be aware that's your Waterloo. That's the place where you will always be weak. So you have to learn about your temper, you have to learn about behavior, but that's not your problem, that's their problem. So that is not I took that responsibility about teaching them about behavior, and that is not my responsibility. If the person wants to change, then they have to change. That's not your responsibility. So you just have to get out and let them decide if they want to change and go down that very, very, very difficult route. Because of my experience, my ex has changed, from what I've heard.
Okay, cool. So I guess at this point now, you're 18, you moved to England, you moved back to Trinidad after a few years, you had your first child at 23? 24. After you had 3 kids, divorced, moved to England, had a long-term friend, married, had another kid, relationship didn't work out. At this point now, you've overpowered all these situations. You're a successful single mother with 4 children. At what point, where are you now at this point in your life?
Right, well, I went on and became a district nursing sister.
Mm-hmm.
I worked as a district nursing sister for a while, and it appeared to me when I delegated, I was in charge of a team of nurses. And I remember when I delegated support visits to certain patients, the nurses didn't know what to do because they're very task-orientated. You ask them to do a dressing, you ask them to take a blood pressure, you ask them to take a blood sugar, you ask them to, do something. They're very good. But when you ask them to go and do a support visit, if they were busy, that's the first thing that they would take off their list of visits, support visit. And for support visit at the time in the early 2000s was HIV patients. We had quite a few in our area where I was in London. And when I told them to go and do a support visit, they didn't understand going as if the person was coping, how the person was feeling, they didn't know about that. And I just find that was quite interesting. The HIV was on the agenda then, and antiretroviral treatment was just coming up into the fore, just becoming a treatment to be used. So I decided to go to King's College, King's University, to do a course in HIV, to become, to try to work in the thing of HIV, the arena of HIV. And one of the people I met on the course had a job, and she was about to leave, and she asked me if I wanted, there was a vacancy. So I applied, I got a job as a HIV specialist. And I became a HIV specialist for quite a few years. I went into palliative care. I decided to go back to South Bank and do a degree in health studies. And if they call it in America, they call it major in palliative care.
Yeah.
So I started to work for St. Christopher's Hospice as an HIV specialist there. palliative care specialist, which is end of life. It's a bit dark as well. And that was very interesting. And at South Bank, my papers and my dissertation, all that was in palliative care. So it was quite interesting. And from there I became a Macmillan nurse, which is working with people with palliative care as well. And then for the last few years, I decided to take a job in hospital, which I hadn't worked in for quite a long time, as a Macmillan nurse in palliative care. And 1/3 of my job was gastroenterology, a specialist. But then I became ill. I found out I became ill for a while. I wasn't sure what it was. Eventually they found out I had lupus, among other conditions, but lupus was the main one. It made me very ill, and that caused me to get a really bad infection in my leg. That caused me not to be able to walk for almost a year. So I was off sick for a year when I was advised to take early retirement. I was 51 at the time, and Shaquille was in secondary school. He was just started secondary school, so he was only 11. And I had to take early retirement, and since then I've been retired. Even though I was retired, as soon as I started to feel better, I decided to go and train as a magistrate. So I went and trained as a magistrate. I went and applied. I didn't realize how hard it is to get in, but I got in. And I trained as a magistrate. I worked for a magistrate for a few years in London courts. But I became very unwell, and even that I had to retire from after a few years.
So, at this point now you've gotten sick, how did it take a toll, or how did it change your lifestyle?
It changed my lifestyle when I became unwell, because all the things I wanted to do I couldn't. I had to sort of change a few things. But one thing I didn't want to do is take on that sick role as the main thing in my life. I was sick, but I was still able to do things instead of able to do things and sick. I don't want sickness to be the number one thing, so I still tried to go on holiday whenever I was well. There are times when I wasn't well and I couldn't do what I wanted to do. Once I was in remission, and there's a time I was in remission for a long time. And I did, because you can't be in remission, and my lupus wasn't active. I went on holidays, I did a lot of community work. I'm a therapist as well, alternative therapist. I'm a massage therapist, I'm a sports massage therapist. I'm a reflexologist. So I still worked for some charities really. Some charities, as I worked for a charity that did alternative therapy for cancer patients and people who are challenging conditions in life, like dementia and things like that. So I worked for them as a therapist, and I worked for different charities that I thought would benefit from my knowledge and my expertise without it being a job that I had to feel I had to attend at certain times because of my illness.
How do you find the strength every day to just keep on keeping on all of this going on? Because at this point now, you're a single mother, 4 kids, and you got a long-term illness, and yet you're still just doing so much, and you're literally just an inspiration without you realizing. Where does your strength come from?
It might sound a little bit
You say cheesy.
cliche. That's how I find my strength from God. I would say that, when something happens to me, I'm in hospital now, been here for 3 weeks, and I'm hoping to go home soon. Even that was a challenge for me to accept. I've been in hospital a few times, but never for 3 weeks. When things get really bad, I just think this is part of my journey, just don't know what the journey is. Listen, you know, I'm still here, so you have to, I feel that everybody has a purpose. But I find that my strength, apart from it being from God, it's my, you know, I really believe that everybody's here for a purpose, and there's a reason I'm still here and I'm going through what I'm going through. Maybe it's to support somebody else if they're going through something bad in the future. Maybe to support my children. They don't know where life will take them, because I never knew life will take me this way. And when they make plans for their life, they see their life go in a certain direction, but you never know if it's going to go in that direction. By God's grace, things work out. But you have to always be prepared for that taking the direction, or going left, or going right,
Yeah.
and having that inevitable situation that changes your life.
So what are you doing with yourself these days? Like what's the thing? What is Gail's bread and butter? Or like, you know, what are the things you want to do, you know, nowadays?
Well, I used to do work with acupuncturist, as a therapist, just a little bit for a few hours. She has a clinic, and I used to go down there and help her 2 days a week. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to go back, maybe not 2 days a week, maybe 1 day a week, and still help her, because I think I really want to be able to continue doing something that I love. I love alternative therapies, I love my massage, I love reflexology. I think I'm good at it. And acupressure, done an acupressure course. And I feel that I have skills that are still, you know, that's still able to be used and utilized. And I hope that I'll be able to do that until when I have to stop doing it, because it does give me a lot of pleasure to get back to a life where I can still be, I have a purpose, and my whole life would not be being ill and having a life-threatening condition. Not life-threatening, lifelong, long-term condition.
So what advice would you give to kids nowadays that, I guess, you know, they're starting out, they don't really know what to do with their lives yet, they're just trying to figure everything out. You who has gone through so much and experienced so much in your lifetime, you know, what would you tell the kids of today about, you know, life? Like people who overthink, people who don't think enough, like what would your overall advice be? I imagine these were your kids you're talking to right now, what would you tell them?
About life.
Yeah.
Life has changed a lot, because life has so much distractions now. You have social media, there is Instagram. I mean, there's so many things now that are distracting. The things, you know, people see it as different forms of communication. But all these are different forms of communication, but yet people have less time to communicate. They don't have the time to communicate. They're too busy. So I would say, and people probably wouldn't agree, a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with this, but to find time to put aside social media and find time to communicate. Because I've been here for 3 weeks and I love my phone, I love watching TV, I love looking at YouTube movies, I like watching movies, but I've been here for 3 weeks and I've had no TV in this room. I've had no form, and my phone is my only form of communication. And I've used it to look at a form of social media, but I realize you can't do it, but people don't do it. And find time for people, because at the end of the day, when social media is gone and all that, at the end of the day, you turn around and you need the people around you, the people that you can walk and talk with. I think that's the problem now. People are not they're communicating only by social media, and social media sort of makes them who they are. If social media says you're great, you believe you're great. If they say you're not great, or they say that you're horrible, you believe you're horrible. Which I think, people don't have, you have to have your inner strength to overcome that and believe who you are, no matter what people say you are. I think people now are very judgmental.
So you think people should just not be as judgmental as well?
Well, to be as non-judgmental as possible, because being judgmental makes you safe.
Yeah.
If you're walking down the street and you see one man in a cloak, looking a bit iffy, and you see a next man in a suit, walking purposefully with a briefcase. I'm not saying the man with a briefcase isn't the crook, or the murderer, or the potential hazard, but your mind would say, don't trust the man in the old cloak, looking a bit dubious. And that's being judgmental. So we have to use judgment all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes us right, sometimes it makes us wrong.
Yeah.
Makes us do the wrong thing. However, we have to be as judgmental as possible. It's not easy. You have to always tap into your prejudices and everything else, because we grew up with prejudices. We grew up around the table with families that tell us, don't trust that person, hate that person, don't like that person. And then you may go a place where that is challenged. And then you have to say, oh, but he's all right actually. And then you start challenging what your parents told you, or what somebody told you that you respected. And then you have to start challenging that.
So yeah, a mad one, isn't it?
It's just a mad one. Because
Them ones there.
Them ones there. Yeah, sometimes it's in my very old school to talk to people, talk to your parents, talk to friends, talk to people next door. But young people now don't talk.
I think it's so important to talk to your parents. I think it's so important to talk to your parents.
Well, I think it's very important, but I'm a parent, so I would say that. My whole life has been dedicated to my kids.
No regrets?
On the whole, no. Because of sacrifices. I made a lot of sacrifices for them. But I have no regrets.
Would you have any more?
I know things do change, and old people can make kids now, but I don't think so, Shaquille. I would like some grandchildren.
Oh my word.
That's about it.
Is there anything you just want to talk about, or do you feel like you're good?
Cup of chocolate, tea.
Hot chocolate, please. No, I just think that young people just need to be more, trust their gut instinct and don't listen to what other people say to them. That is not good. It's not something that they want to do. If they want to do something, ask your parents, ask somebody who loves you and cares for you. Listen to them. There's too many distractions out there now.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we need. Is that all?
She couldn't bring the chocolate.
She's going to bring the chocolate. She's making it by herself.
Okay. I'm just like. Well, thank you, Mum, for doing this interview. I think we're going to do another one with you. I kind of want to be able to share your wisdom, because I feel like your wisdom has helped me a lot throughout the years. So, yeah, would you be down to do that? To help a lot of young people.
I'd be very much down to do that.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much. That will be all.
The top one. I can't call it my that's my
Oh, we got crumble.
have what? Thank you.
I just wanted.
Well, but if I ask for the biscuits, I don't want biscuits. You have to eat it because I don't want it.
I always come to Uncle to see you.
When you chop the biscuits, my feeties.
No, I have one.
Of course, it's all you, but I didn't want any biscuits. I used to have Pringles. I used to have Pringles and nuts.
The same with him.
He's terrible. The last time
Pringles and nuts.
he came and he drank my hot chocolate too.